So now this is the basis, and we are going to offer this world on basis of that cosmology. So as regard the mandala, as I said, I have no text with me, so I'm just working from memory, but all the details I cannot mention, you can find them. The FPMT Education Department has published, what I'm going to do comes mainly from teachings I received from Kabje Sopa Rinpoche in the early 80s, can't remember the year, at Tushita Retreat Center in Dharamsala. Well, we were doing a Manjushri, a one-month-long Manjushri retreat, a small group of us, and Rinpoche was doing at the same time a Guya Samaja retreat, and he accepted during our retreat to give teachings on the mandala, and we received 3 days of 3 afternoons of teachings like that. And based on this and additional information, FPMT, these teachings were transcribed by American nun Dr. Wangmo and then edited, and FPMT has published a booklet with them, so you can find more information on that in this. And is it available, the transcript? Okay, so Sarah said that Rinpoche gave much more extensive teachings in Taiwan a couple of years ago, and that the transcript of that should be available. Okay, thank you. So as for the mandala itself, you need a base, rings, 3 or 4 rings, and a top. And then the thing to put to symbolize the objects. So, do you need time, Paula, at the end? No. So, as regard the base, it should be ideally it should be at least 1 hand span long. I mean, the diameter should be one hand span. So this one would be too short. Then, in terms of thickness, it should be 4 finger width, because it symbolizes the 4 elements: the air, fire, water, and earth. So, because of that, to symbolize those 4 elements, it should be. It's very difficult to find a base, the right dimensions. I found one for the thickness, but I don't have one for the diameter, I think. Also, it should not be round, but there's a reason why it's round. It helps to keep the rings on, not to slip off. But when you visualize, it's flat. It's perfectly flat. Then, as for the material that you use to symbolize the objects, of course, if you can afford it, more the material is precious, greater the merit. On the basis of just the material, that is. So the best one is if you can have gold, precious stones, semi-precious stones, these kind of things. Now, if it's really entirely gold, it's really heavy, I think, to hold it. If it's entirely made of pieces of gold coins, you know, it's really a heavy thing. Remember, you will have to hold that like that. So also I've seen Westerners having custom-made mandalas, respecting those, so very, very large one, and with 4 rings, and then they put, because they can afford it, very heavy thing, and then it's just impossible to handle. They're like that, you know, but it's too heavy. So you also have to take this into consideration. The second best quality is Seashells. Seashells is also very good to use for these offerings. But otherwise, you can perfectly use grain, rice, and so forth, as long as it's clean. Sorry? What? Because it's considered as quite precious. Yeah, of course. But it comes from India, so it's also plenty of seashells, but it's kind of, I don't know. I have one of my mandalas is made of seashells. It's really nice, kind of. The base or the material that you've got? No, these things, to fill the thing, not the base. Okay, then as for the way, so when you start the practice, first of all, you need to have something in your left hand. That's for a right-handed person, at least. I don't know if that changes with somebody who is left-handed. Anyway, you start holding the basis in the left hand if you're right-handed. So you need to have a handful of things. You should not hold the bass with nothing in it. Then, can I move this away? Yeah? Because it's kind of in my way. You're still here like that? So, so then you put, so this symbolizes the golden bass, of course, on top of the, maybe I should, maybe if you can remove this table, because I'm not sure that people will be able to see if there is a table. Can you remove it?
Yeah, sure.
I just, So, the first, most important thing, then you put one handful of grain in the center, and then you do this gesture of pushing away from you. Some teachings or some lamas say to do it 3 times, others to do it many times. So you push clockwise. The gesture is clockwise, and you push away. Without what? The table. Oh yeah, that was the idea of removing it. So here this symbolizes that one of the meaning of emptiness, of course, is that there's no such subject and object existing from their own side, independent one of the other. So what we see, what we perceive through our senses, is as much the fruit of our own karma as that of external objects. And therefore, say, people believe that, ordinary people who have no training in philosophy, would believe that if you become deaf, you cease perceiving the sounds, that there are sounds out there, but you don't perceive them anymore. But that's not true. What happens is that you stop producing sounds, because sounds do not exist out there. Sounds are as much the fruit of our ears and our brain and our nervous system as they are the fruits of the external objects. Externally, there's no sound. There's just molecules which are being agitated, and that exert some pressure on our tympan, you say that? Tympan? And the pressure changes, and that starts electrochemical signals to our brain. And then there's appearance of sounds, but out there's no sound. So we really, and the same for all our senses. What we perceive as colors, thank you. What we perceive as colors or shapes, these are photons, particles of light of a given amount, with a given amount of energy. When they meet our eyes, that produces again this signal to our brain, and then we have an appearance of colors and shapes and these kind of things. But there's no external colors. The sky is not blue out there. The grass is not green out there. So whatever world we live in is as much our own fabrication as external things. So when we, so what we do with the Mandala, when we do this, we purify our negative karmas. When we do just 3 times, it means purifying all the negativities accumulated with body, speech, and mind. And this changes the way the mandala appears to us. It is the same thing that the well-known example of the glass of water, which is perceived as water by human beings, as pus by pretas, and as nectar by gods. So the same thing. So you can imagine when you start that you are simply you're purifying all those negative karmas accumulated not only by you but by all sentient beings of that universe, because as I said in the beginning, this formation of the galaxy is the fruit of collective karma. The collective karma, all the beings who are going to live in this universe, to inhabit this universe later. So we are purifying not only our own negative karma accumulated with body, speech, and mind, but also all that of all the sentient beings. And then after that, you can imagine that it now is gold. It's really a pure gold, because it comes from. You do not agree?
This is awe and amazement of what you're saying.
Don't know. So when doing that, you're kind of cleaning, purifying that, and then it becomes gold. Then you put another handful of grain, and then you pull towards yourself. Again, you do it 3 times. And in this way, you receive the qualities of the body, speech, and mind of the Buddhas, of the enlightened beings. And then you tilt the base towards yourself, and you can imagine light rays coming from this bed now of pure gold, and you receive those blessings. At some point, I had a meditation seat in some place with a light on top, so it was very nice, because I really could feel the light rays coming like that. You know? So anyway, that's the principle. Why you do 3 times to purify body, speech, and mind, negativities. Why you do 3 times like that to receive qualities of body, speech, and mind. Then you place again a handful in the center of the mandala. And then you put this, which of course symbolizes the black iron mountains. So it should, although it does not go all the way to the edge of the base, it should be visualized as being here. Once again, it's a matter of weight. You know, if the thing is too big, it's just too heavy.
So you build it on top, not on the bottom. So the first layer, you build it this way. You don't turn it over.
No, like this. Yeah. This symbolizes this. Although this one is hollow, actually it's full. Okay, on top of the column of water, it's a full golden base. It's not hollow. Of course, it would be again unpractical if it were full here. Then you take another handful and you go anti-clockwise like that, all around the inside of the ring. Many people say you're blessing the mandala, but Rinpoche told me, asked specifically about that. He told me no, it's not a blessing. He didn't tell me what this symbolizes, but he said it's not blessing. So what I do at this point, I imagine I'm pouring the water of the ocean, but it's just my own thing, because otherwise I don't see much purpose in doing that. You know? So I imagine that at this point I'm filling up the oceans, but it's not a blessing. About that.
I just thought you were making the outer ring. Yeah, me too.
You were doing what?
You were making the outer ring.
No, because the outer ring is that.
I know, but I just thought that's what you're visualizing.
Then after that, you put the Mount Meru. Regal Porirab, that's the king of mountain. This is not my kind of mandala. This one is very big objects. I prefer much smaller person. No, it's Tenda. He told me that it's based on Robina's way of doing, because Rinpoche praised Robina's way of doing as being the best. So he's got very, very big things. So, but it's not very practical really when you do it. It's just too big. I prefer smaller things personally. So the first when you put that first, you're putting Mount Meru and the 7 square ranges of golden mountains, and the 7 lakes. That's what you put at this point. Then Charlopakpo, that's the eastern continent. So there are 2 ways you can do this mandala offerings. It's in terms of just accumulating merit, or accumulating merit and receiving blessings or realization. Sorry. So if you only want to accumulate merit, then the east is away from you. It's here. But if you want to receive realization, the east is closest to you. So that's here. So I'm always doing it in order to receive realization. So I'm always starting. I've never done it like that. And when I look at people, I've never seen somebody starting here really. So in the east, you put the eastern continent. I described it yesterday. It's a half circle. Then in the south, this is our continent. Then the western continent, which is circular, and then the northern continent. So you put the first. Another thing, I think I mentioned, you can have 3 rings or 4 rings when you do the mandala. I've never done one with 4 rings personally, so I only know the 3 rings one. So once you have put those 4 continents, so when you put, you just imagine the shape. Okay, I described the shape of the continents. You're putting that they can in the middle of this ocean on the 4 sides. So you go clockwise here. There's nothing special. In general, when you look at paintings, the continents have the same color as the ocean on that side. That means that would be a white here, blue here, and a red like that. But I feel that very unpractical because they have the same color as the ocean around. So I visualize them green against my own thing. But it's much nicer somehow when I get them green like grass, green grass on them. But I've never read or heard anything about the color of the continents themselves, just the artists, and often the artists are not reliable. Sorry? Oh yeah. No. Yeah, it's true. I could have mentioned that also yesterday. As I said, we live in the southern continent, and in the southern continent we have blue sky. And this is due, according to this explanation, this is due to the reflection of the sunlight on the southern side of the Mount Meru. Mount Meru's southern side is blue, is made of sapphire, and therefore the light rays reflecting on that will cause the sky to be blue. And in the west, it's ruby, so the sky there will be red, and in the north, it's gold, so the sky would be golden, etc. Yeah. But Rinpoche really accepts this explanation. But of course, physicists have a very different explanation about why the sky is blue. I asked, there's one old student of Dharma who is a physicist, doctor, PhD holder, and in optics, you say? So he's really a specialist on that. And explained to me why the sky is blue. He said it's one of the things which is the best understood by you don't say opticians, I guess. How do you call that? Yeah, physicists specialize in optics. And he said this is one of the things they understand the best is why the sky is blue. It's nothing to do with Mount Meru. Anyway, Rinpoche seems to think it's logical. So anyway, so then come the 8 subcontinents, and here for the 8 subcontinents we don't go just simply clockwise. We do go clockwise overall, but we always put the left continent, and when I say left and right, it's in terms of facing Mount Meru in the center. So we first put the left one, then the right one. Same thing in the south. First, that would be southwest and the southeast then. Okay, we always go like this. First here, and then going back to the other subcontinent. Okay, we don't just go straight like that. So that the continent and the subcontinents. And then we put the 4 precious. Each one of those continents has one especially precious object. So in the east is precious mountains. Mountains made of extremely precious stones like diamond, rubies, and so forth. You can visualize. I visualize enormous mountains of these precious stones. If it's uncut stones, you say, it's not very pretty. kind of rough diamond or groove. Unpolished, yeah. So I visualize them polished. Otherwise, it's kind of. And again, one of my things it's very important to get the feeling. As I said yesterday, Rinpoche likes to quote from the Lamrim Chenmo that Je Tsongkhapa says very little about mandala offering, but he says the essential, which is clear and extensive. So it's very important, I feel, that you get the feeling that what you are offering is enormous as possible. It has to be clear. You must have a clear mental image, but it must also have a feeling of being extremely vast. For instance, for the base, I gave the size as 1,204,350 yojanas of diameter. To give you an idea, if you compare that with the diameter of our Earth, of our planet, it's 700 times, about 700 times. So that means you'll have to have 700 planet Earths, one behind the other, to go across that base. So I do this kind of visualization in order to get this feeling of, when you do that, then you get a feeling it's really enormous. And in terms of thickness, it's something like 200 planet Earth thick. So, and there is no problem in visualizing it on such a small plate. The example which is usually given is that you can see Mount Everest through your fingers like that, or through the eye of a needle. You can see big mountains also. There's no problem. So, but that's one problem I had with the mandala at the beginning. I didn't believe what I was doing, Somehow it seemed completely fantasy. So you have to make it real. Somehow you have to really offer something. Otherwise, the mind is not satisfied. So that's why I use this kind of tricks, like visualizing 700. Of course, I don't count them. Just gives me a feeling of enormousness, enormity. And then when I get this, I offer. Then the virtuous karma you get from that, positive karma, must be enormous also, because if the mental image is clear, it's exactly as if you had really offered that thing. And about that, one thing which is, I notice many people have difficulties with visualization, and then they don't make the effort. They make the effort for a short time, then they give up. And mandala is really visualization. As I said in the Lamrim Chenmo, it said clear. It means clear mental image. So that's what we call visualization. And when I started doing this practice, I would easily spend like 15 minutes on just the golden base. To get a clear mental image of that, I had great difficulties visualizing gold for a long time. And also to get this feeling of enormity, I would imagine myself being in space and seeing this base and then coming closer, and then it would appear straight because I was too close. I couldn't see, it was so enormous, I couldn't see it going round, And then I would go back in space like that. And eventually it gave me this feeling how enormous this thing is, really. 700 times the diameter of the Earth, And then I offer maximum of gold I can. Of course, if you do like that, it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. And when I was starting, I would it would take me 1 hour and 45 minutes to complete one mandala, visualizing every object like that. And I would collapse at the end. I was almost fainting of exhaustion. And everybody I talked about said I was crazy, I was insane, I was taking things too literally, that it should be light and so forth, and like this. So I had doubt, because all the commentaries I could hear or read said one should have clear visualization. So I asked Rinpoche, I had an interview with Rinpoche, and I mentioned at the beginning, in my list of questions, this thing about Rinpoche. It takes me 1 hour 45 minutes to offer one mandala, and everybody thinks I seem to think that I'm insane to do it like that. Rinpoche didn't really say something, or he just said, next, which means next question. And so okay, I went on with my question. Then at the end, when I took leave of him, as I prostrated, I was leaving. Then he was with his eyes closed, and he just mentioned, He just opened one eye and asked, 1 hour, 45 minutes? And then he had a big smile, you know, on his face. Kind of still finding that kind of laughable a little bit, but I understood that as being, it was okay to do like that. That he didn't tell me to change anything, you know. Yeah.
One time I was doing Chopa with Rinpoche, and we stopped for the Mandala, and he must have stopped for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Rinpoche went to do Mandala retreat in Lado one time. He was there for 2 weeks, he opened about 7 mandalas.
7 mandala.
Because it takes hours, and the same thing with Tupa retreat, before lunchtime, you have to put the mandala here and just go into meditation.
So you're on the right track.
Yeah. So anyway, it's to say that you really have to make an effort at the beginning, definitely. Otherwise, you don't get a mental image, or you won't get a clear one. And then I'm not sure that there'll be much benefit in doing that. You know, just doing through the motion and reciting the words. That's not what mandala offering means. But anyway, now it's very easy. Once you're familiar with the mental image is stored. The image is stored in my mind, and I can produce it like that. You know, with a complete, and it's extremely enjoyable. Because it's all made of precious substances, the gold, and so forth. So it's incredibly pleasing to just focus on that. Actually, you have to fight attachment to that afterwards. But for sure, it requires effort in the beginning. But I'm sure everybody can visualize, you know.
When Rinpoche leads pujas, when he gets when Rinpoche is leading practices, then when we come to the mandala, and he often doesn't do the long mandala, he'll say short mandala, but then he'll say, first visualize the mandala. And Rinpoche pauses to let everyone visualize this, and then he does Sajipuki. And he's explained very clearly, if you go straight into Sajipuki, you may have absolutely nothing offered. Nothing is offered. So he stops and he says, first visualize the mandala, pauses, and then Sajipuki.
Yeah, it makes sense anyway. Thank you. So once you have thus put these 4 continents, the 4 subcontinents, then you put the 4 special or most precious treasures of each continent. So in the east, it's those precious mountains. Again, to get a feeling of their size, I often visualize a plane next to one of them. Very small plane, but like a big airliner. I visualize it next to the mountains. Then I get the feeling the mountain is huge. Otherwise, it's just this tiny thing here. You don't offer much. You know? Then in the southern continent, the most precious object is a tree, a wish-fulfilling tree. It's made of the 7 precious jewels, and there are various lists of the 7 jewels in the Tibetan culture. So the one that Rinpoche mentioned in those teachings on the mandala I talked about before, were the roots are made of gold, the trunk of silver, the branch is lapis lazuli, the leaves made of emerald, the flowers mother of pearl, then the buds, sapphire, and the fruits, diamonds. So that's what I visualize, basically. When you offer these things, although it is mentioned only one tree, but of course, more tree you put, more merits you get. So I visualize an entire forest of them, actually. And as I make it again and again, then of course I can make it bigger. Of course, it has to be clear. So usually you start with a single object until you get a very clear mental image of that, and then when that's here, then you multiply it. If you start immediately with trying to get a forest, what is very likely is that you'll get a blurred image. So not much benefits from that, probably. Diamond, diamant. Then in the west, you've got the precious cow. And the precious cow is a wish-fulfilling cow. Actually, it seems to be its tail, which is like a wish-fulfilling tree. I can't remember exactly all the details, but the problem is that I've changed some of those things for my own use. So I don't want to tell those things, and I don't have the text which I use here. And even if I had the text, I had no time to read them anyway. Well, it wouldn't make any difference. But the hooves are made of diamonds, maybe, and the horns of sapphire, or it's the opposite. I don't remember. And then it's not milk, but it's kind of nectar coming out of I don't know how you call that in English. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, again, of a whole, not just a single one, of a whole herd. Or you say herd for cows? Yes, herd. Yeah. So as many as you can. And then in the north, you have the most precious object is the uncultivated harvest. I think I talked about this text here, which the FPMT published, pending the publication of the one that Sarah mentioned. In there, you get many details on these various objects. You know. There's no much. Again, it's kind of you imagine whole fields of those things. You know. I remember the fruits have all medicinal qualities. They cure all diseases. They have all the vitamins, proteins, and so forth to be in good health and so forth. And then you can. I do plenty of fantasies on those things in terms of taste, various tastes. Because when you do many, you know, if you do always the same, it becomes a bit boring. So I add up things, and the result is I don't know exactly what was to what and what I added myself. So I don't want to say things other than what I heard. So then, once you've done this. They come the next offerings. These are the 7 most precious possessions of the universal monarch, Chakravartin, will-holding king, or something like that. In this cosmology, this old Hindu cosmology, when a world system such as this one is initially created, the first inhabitant is Brahma. The god Brahma. So first it's gods that appear in this world, in one world system, one stellar system like that. And Brahma is the god of the form realms. Form realm, out of the 3 realms, desire, form, and formless, he belongs to the form realm. And he's the first one who comes to inhabit this newly created world. And that's why he comes to believe he is the creator of the world, according to this tradition. And then after that, other beings come, and as time goes on and times degenerate, come. At first, the beings that appear have bodies made of light. They don't need. There's no sun, no moon, because they produce their own light. They don't eat. They have their lives is extremely long, and since there is no sun and moon, there is no way to measure the duration of their life. And then. But then, due to instincts from previous lives, they start eating the ground, finding it as a pleasant taste, and that makes their body heavier. And then also they develop an anus and a penis or an orifice to get the waste out of the body. And due to past life imprints, they start developing desire and so forth. And at some point, some of those beings start hoarding the food, H-O-A, hoarding, yeah, food, like for 1 week or a whole month, and then there's not enough food for everybody, then they start fighting. And when this, at this point, they decide to have somebody to. So far, it was like an anarchist society with no leader. But at this point, due to those quarrels, those fights, then they need a leader, and they elect one whom they seem is really the best one to settle all these disputes, and he's the universal monarch. And this universal monarch can rule over 1, 2, 3, or all 4 continents of one system. And so to be reborn as such a universal monarch, you need an enormous store of positive karma. And when we do prostrations, for instance, it's said, I think in the Samadhi Raja Sutra, it says that every atom that our body covers, for every atom that our body covers, we create the 1,000 times the cause to be reborn a universal monarch. That's why Rinpoche insists on, if you have a long hair, let them loose to cover as much, or to do the prostration on top of mountains, so you have many more atoms underneath your body and so forth, to accumulate the most merit, the most possible merit. So such a universal monarch, he has 7 very precious treasures, and that's the thing that we put afterwards. So we start with the southeast. We start with the east. Sorry, these 7 objects. They are at the foot of the outermost square range of Golden Mountain. They say that they are in the air. They're kind of floating in the air. But somehow I don't like that thing personally. It seems not very realistic, like balloons for advertising, having the shape of an elephant or whatever, you know. So I visualize big lotuses with a big moon disk, and I put my things on top of that. But that's my own way of doing. So in the east, you get the wheel. The wheel is the vehicle of the universal monarch, and it's a huge wheel. It's 500 yojanas in diameter, and it can carry the universal monarch and his entire court. You say, all his entourage with him. You remember I mentioned the size of the Golden Mountain yesterday. So the last one, the outermost one, will be 625 yojana high. So this wheel is 500 yojana. It's almost as tall as the lowest range of a mountain. So it's enormous. So again, I do my own thing, because traveling in a wheel is not very interesting. So I make it like a kind of a flying saucer, flying like that. And there's a big park in the middle, and in all the 1,000 spokes, you have the flats, and with all the servants and the dining, and you know, you can make what you want really with that. Sorry? And then, so now we have to accelerate. So you go with the other 6 possession like this. There will be the wish-fulfilling jewel in the south. Again, you don't have to put just one. I put a whole mountain of them. They have many special qualities. You'll find them in these teachings I talked about before. Then there's a precious queen, and every time you offer one of those things, there's some dedication you can do. Also, one thing which is important in the mandala, although in the end you get a picture of the complete thing in your mind, at the beginning, as soon as you finish one object and start the other one, you lose the mental image of the previous one. So Rinpoche advises to immediately offer. As soon as you've clearly visualized one object, you offer it. This way, when you offer it, you have the clear mental image of it. So, and every time also you make a dedication, special dedication for what you have offered. I don't remember all of them by heart, but like when you offer the wish-fulfilling gem, you make the dedication, may all sentient beings' wishes which accord with Dharma be fulfilled. Which accord with Dharma means not the wish that some enemy be killed or whatever, a non-virtuous thought, but whatever wishes that accord with Dharma. When you offer the queen, may all sentient beings achieve uncontaminated supreme bliss, like that. All these details are mentioned in those teachings. So you put like that the 7 precious object of the king. So starting the east with the wheel, then the jewel, then the queen. And then here you have the minister, precious minister. Then in the southeast, then you go in the southeast corner of the outermost range of Golden Mountain. Then there you put the elephant. Again, I put a whole herd of elephants. Then the horse. And here you have the choice here in the northwestern corner. You can either put the general, or you can put the precious benefactor. by offering the general, you create the causes to be protected against obstacles, and offering the benefactor, you create the cause to receive to have a benefactor to support you, of course, in the future. So I couldn't choose myself between. I didn't want to lose any of them, so I've changed slightly the thing, and I put the general with the minister on the Western, and I slightly changed the Tibetan text for that. I put but I might have read somewhere. I might have made it myself, but I might have read that somewhere also. I'm not sure. Anyway, I put the minister with the general, and then I put the benefactor in the northwestern corner. This way, I don't lose on anything. And again, you don't have to offer a single object. Like the queen can be a whole harem, you say? Harem. As many as you can clearly visualize, you know, you put them. Then after that comes after these 7 objects, you put the vase, the inexhaustible wealth-granting vase, which is not one of the 7 objects. It's not good to visualize an empty vase, of course, so you fill it up. You can fill it up with nectar of immortality, for instance. Once again, on my big moon disk, I put a whole lot of them, filled with various things. Precious things, stones, money, precious stones, gold, money, food, clothes, whatever you want. As many as you can. And that completes what you have with the first ring. So you have the 4 continents, the 8 subcontinents, the 4 treasures of the continents, the 7 major treasures of the universal monarch, and the vase, okay? And then one important thing, you should completely fill each ring. It shouldn't be like shallow or hollow. Yeah, but it's really like, it should be like this, you know, it should not be like that. Then you put the second ring, and here you will have, you will put the 8 goddesses, the 8 offering goddesses. I don't really have time now to do that, but you put 8 goddesses, 4 in the cardinal directions, 4 in the intermediate directions. The purpose is very important. I neglected this part for a very long time because I was busy offering countless horses and elephants and so forth. So by the time I arrived, I was tired. So but it's very important to offer this because it creates the causes for bliss. To receive bliss in the Vajrayana, bliss is an essential factor. So you need to create the causes for that as well. Each one of those objects, but you'll find the details really in the text available from FPMT. When you offer the horse, it creates the causes to receive psychic powers, these cities, you know. So each one of those, of course, offering the queen, create a cause to receive also bliss and so forth. So so you put these 8 goddesses. There's description. Each one of them is described in some detail in Rinpoche's teaching. So anyway, you see the way. It's really not very practical. It's too big, these objects for me. Then you put after you've put the 8 goddesses, you put the 3rd ring. And here you put the sun and the moon. So in general, in this practice, it seems the sun should be in the east and the moon in the west. But Rinpoche's tradition is we put the sun over the south and the moon over the north. It's full moon, and sun and moon shine in the sky at the same time. Again, there's a whole symbolic meaning here. The sun represents all the wisdom aspects of the past, including the clear light. And the moon represents all the method aspect of the past, including the illusory body. So you put that here. And then the last 2 objects of this are the precious umbrella and the victory banner in all directions. And again, it seems that it is the case that, anyway, Rinpoche puts the victory banner in front and the umbrella behind. So it creates a cause, putting the victory banner in front creates a cause for our victory over Maras and this kind of things. So we put closer to, again, you don't put one. On top of Mount Meru, you can put as many as you can clearly visualize of those. And the umbrella is also very precious and it's described in detail. There's also all a symbolic thing. So you fill up the whole thing like this. Then you put the top. I don't know what his top is. buffalo, I don't know. Anyway, you put one like this. Oh, it's here, yeah. So it should be full, okay? And then you start, but it's quite heavy, really. So it's perfectly okay to hold it like that, by the way. You don't have to be like this. It's perfectly okay to hold it like that. It's quite heavy material the tender has. So I think that's what I could do in that amount of time. Yeah, but actually you should first do a complete one until you get the clear mental image. Then you shift to the 7 heaps. The visualization for the 7 heaps is exactly the same. It's just the way of counting. Here what I've shown is the 37 heap mandala. It comes from a great Sakya Lama. Je Tsongkhapa was more into the 23 heap mandala of the Guya Samaja system, which we have in the Lama Chepa. But nowadays in Gelug we follow this Sakya Lama with 37 heaps, which are Mount Meru. The 4 continents makes 5, the 8 subcontinent makes 13, the 4 treasures make 17, the 7 treasures of the Universal Monarch make 24, the Bumpa, the vase 25, the 8 goddesses 33, then Sun, Moon 35, Victory Banner and Umbrella make 37. So, voila. You get an idea about what this is. But really, you really don't know much about mandala at this point. Okay, you just have a general idea. That you need to get many more explanations because it's very deep practice. Actually, you have many things you can do with that.
I'll come with the microphone.
With the 7 most precious items of Wheel Turning King, I actually ended up with 8.
Excuse me?
The 7 articles of the king, I had 8. So I had the wheel, then the wish-fulfilling jewel, then the precious queen, then the precious minister. Yeah, it's right. You have 8 because you can choose. Traditionally, you choose between the general and the benefactor. I have 8 myself because I want both of them. And then the vases? The vases is not one of the objects of the Universal Monarch. Okay. Thank you.
I have a really basic beginner question. Sometimes I see people, they offer, like for a short mandala, maybe you only offer 1 ring. Is there different kinds of, like when we do, like just when we're doing it? You do exactly the same visualization. When you put Mount Meru, you put, at the same time, you put the 7 precious treasures of the Universal Monarch, the vase, the 8 goddesses, and what is on top of Mount Meru, the umbrella, and the all that comes at the same time. When you put the 4 continents, you put at the same time the subcontinents and the treasure of the continent. So you have exactly the same visualization, less words, but exactly the same mental image. This is absolutely fantastic. Thank you. I had a real treat. I went to Tibet with Rinpoche in 2002, and we went to the Portala, and they had literally room after room of mandalas that were built. That there are books of them. You can see them. But I can't visualize all the details. But would it be fine if I just offer all of what I saw? Because I can see that in my head. I can see those pictures really clearly, and I just offer all that. That would do the same thing. Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I have to stop.